Hey everybody, welcome to another podcast. My name is John Corella, your host. I am here with Jeremiah Chinegwu. He'll be headlining the show tonight at Mercury Cafe. Glad to have him here. Let's talk about, what do you want to talk about first? Want to go with comedy?
Oh man, whatever. Man.
What sounds good?
I can talk about whatever all day.
All right. Did you? I always give these guys a little homework.
Yeah.
So, who would you put on your comedy Mount Rushmore?
So, I remembered the question, and then I think I didn't come to a conclusive answer. But I think it's me thinking of it right now on the spot.
That's all right. That's what we do.
So, I think Eddie Murphy's the best all time.
I agree.
I think Chris Rock was my favorite.
Yeah.
I think Dave Chappelle's the one that made me want to do comedy.
Nice.
And I'm going to throw Bill Burr on there.
Nice.
I feel like he's been around for as long as I've cared about comedy.
Yeah, he's been doing it a long time.
I mean, all those guys have been, but I think once I started taking comedy seriously, that's who I started paying attention to a lot more.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, Bill Burr is just fearless. I know you got to be fearless to an extent to do this, no matter what level. But yeah, Eddie Murphy, I always laugh because he was the first comic I really cared about. I was young when Delirious came out. I was like 15, 16 years old.
I think that's probably the best one of all time.
It's an amazing special.
I think it's better than Raw, and everyone always likes Raw better, but I think Delirious is way better.
I agree with you. Yeah. Raw is an amazing special in its own right, but Delirious, and plus people forget Eddie Murphy was 22 when he did Delirious. So that hurts my head. That he had that level of talent and
quick.
Yeah, he was.
Took to it.
Well, it's funny when you were living in that time. Like he was doing music. He had top 40 songs.
Party all the time.
Yeah,
that's the only song I can
Yeah,
think
there was
of
a stupid one called "In Your Butt." Put a telephone up your butt. Put a dinosaur bone up your butt.
Oh yeah, okay. Yeah, I think he did that on one of his shows or something. I feel like I've seen that.
Yeah. And I think that was. I don't know if it was top 40, but definitely it got airplay.
That's weird.
All right. 80s were a weird time. Yeah. But it is funny what he could do on that stage, and his versatility is, I think, unmatched by anybody ever.
Yeah, no, I don't think anybody's ever been that good.
Yeah,
ever. Naturally.
And I think we're at such a saturation point now with media and entertainment in general. I think it's going to be really hard for anyone to ever emulate or copy that. I mean, you can get popular in a hurry because there's so much media, but for him to be on top as long as he was, and as on top as he was,
I think people can get there, but I think not as quickly, because the only other person, I mean, granted, I'm 33, the only person that comes to mind that's ever been that big is Kevin Hart.
Yeah.
But it also took him, over a decade to start scratching the surface. And I mean, he's the biggest thing probably since Eddie Murphy.
Yeah.
Comedy-wise, but it took a long time. Eddie Murphy did it in his early 20s.
Yeah, Eddie Murphy was on SNL like 19, 20 years old. That's unheard of.
He was too big for SNL by the time he hit 20.
Yeah, it was like there were a couple of years when he was doing movies and specials. I used to get annoyed with the Kevin Hart. I forgot, it was the concert movie. I can't remember the name of it. It was a couple of years ago. When they did the advertising for it, they called Kevin Hart comedy's first mogul. I was like, you ever heard of Eddie Murphy, Bill Cosby?
Yeah, no, I wouldn't
he's
agree
not
with that,
their first mogul in my opinion, but
he's good. He's damn good.
He's had quite a run.
Yeah,
he
for
really
a long time.
Yeah,
longer than I think most people would have expected.
Yeah,
he works hard.
Yeah, and that's the key to it. I'm sure you know that. You got to hit the mics. You got to do what you got to do. You got to write your ass off.
Yeah,
do all that stuff.
Yeah,
and then I think luck is somewhat involved, but I think hard work is at least equally as involved usually.
Yeah.
It's quite a little community we've decided to become a part of, isn't it?
Weird, yeah. Comics are the worst.
Oh, that's all you hear every time. Every time, just when we talk about other comics, like, oh man, we're not decent people.
Yeah, you're not good people. I would never bring a first date to a comedy show. You ease them in and make sure they're secure with you, and then you're like, oh, by the way, I do comedy.
Yeah, if you come with me, you're gonna see me say some horrible stuff, and some of my friends say some equally, if not worse, horrible stuff.
If you approach me after I do a show, I think something happened to you at some point in life. Something I said touched you, and that's not good.
You've got an issue somewhere that rings true and works that you think we can maybe work.
Yeah.
That's a good Mount Rushmore. I like that a lot. Chappelle's amazing.
Yeah.
I like the guys. I like how early these guys start. I love the tales of Chappelle taking a train from DC up to New York at like 14, 15 years old and somehow getting into clubs and working. That's amazing to me.
Well, I like those four because I didn't know this until way later. Like, I try and, I don't know how weird it is to say study comedy, but all four of them have this weird bond because Chris Rock used to open for Eddie Murphy.
Yeah.
And then Chappelle used to open for Chris Rock. And then Bill Burr used to open for Dave Chappelle.
Yes.
And then, so there's this weird, impressive lineage that goes kind of with the four of them, in my mind.
Yeah, that's kind of cool. And that's also like you saw them in each other's movies.
Mm-hmm.
Like Chris Rock was in, I think, Boomerang as a male guy, like in Eddie Murphy's Office. And yeah, you see, I'm sure Chappelle's been on stuff with Rock.
Chappelle was on his first couple of albums.
Nice.
And then he's in something else. And then Chappelle was also in Nutty Professor.
Oh, yeah. So there's a crossover. I know Bill Burr was often on the Chappelle Show, or at least in a few sketches. So yeah, and Bill Burr has been around so long.
Yeah.
I mean, in my opinion, I think he's been doing it 30, 35 years since he was very young.
To the point where it seems like he hates it. He's been around long enough to realistically probably hate it.
I really feel like he peaked about 5 years ago because my favorite special is Sorry You Feel That Way. I just think that was an amazing special. He's done some amazing stuff since, but I just think that, for me, that was his best. That was 2014, so I guess 7 years. But
whichever one he came out in 2010 was my favorite. I think it's not for what it's worth, it's Chappelle. I can't remember. It was on Netflix, but it's still on
bugging
Netflix.
me. Is that the one in the opening credits where he's like walking through the hills? Is that the San Francisco one?
Yeah, it's in San Francisco. He still has like hair.
Yeah, exactly.
He's got that red hair.
Yeah, it's weird seeing him. Like, it's like why it went from like red to almost like blonde, unless it was gray. I don't know what happened to his hair.
At his youngest, he looked so angry and old.
Yeah.
Yeah, he looked so mean.
And I should know the name of those first two specials because they were really good. 2010, 12, and 14, I think, were top three. They're so good.
Yeah.
But yeah, I should know that, and I can't think of that special either. But yeah, those are good ones.
Yeah.
I think they're all still on Netflix. I think he's got like 4 or 5 still on Netflix.
Yeah, it wouldn't be. So there was one that they took off recently, and I couldn't find it. I was looking for it recently, and I couldn't find it to save my life.
Oh, that's a bummer. Yeah. And we get kind of spoiled sometimes. Like, and this is where I go all old man on you. And go like, when I was growing up, it was literally like 4 or 5 channels on TV.
Oh, yeah. No, I had more.
Yeah. I was going to say, some of the advantages being young. Yeah. You were born in what then? 87, 88? Yeah. So, yeah, it was definitely different growing up in the 90s and in the 70s. It is kind of funny. Just like, I was the clicker. I don't know. It was like, we didn't even have remote control. It was my stepdad telling me, go up and change the channel.
My folks did that after the technology was available for me to not have to do that.
That's funny.
They just refused to get with the
time. I think your parents and mine would probably get along, or me would get along really well.
Yeah, I had to teach them about Netflix.
Oh, I'm sure.
And they weren't getting the core concept for the longest time.
That is funny.
Yeah.
What, they just weren't understanding that it was like streaming?
Yeah, they're just like, what do you mean I can watch?
You just go and you click on it. Oh, don't tell me click on it.
Yeah, and there were always old movies. I'm like, you were sitting around jonesing to watch 7?
That's great. That's a perfect example, too.
You were just sitting at home and thought, let's watch Beverly Hills Cop 2.
And even that isn't bad, though, because, people in their 50s, I think it's almost like, I'll watch something a third time because I think as you get older, you're afraid of wasting your time on something, even if it's just a couple hours. Like, this looks good, and I heard good things about it, but I don't know. I might not go for it. It's a little bit scary sometimes when you get older.
I'm lucky to not be there yet, but I'm also at a point where I'm working with people 10 years younger than me, and now it feels weird. Because I was the youngest person at my job for years, and now I have people legitimately a decade younger than me. I don't understand what the fuck they're talking about half the time. I'm like, okay.
It's interesting. I work with people. I've got people my age and all the way down to like 22 that I work with. I work with kids in school.
Yeah.
And I forgot what you do.
Navy.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Of course, you're still in the military.
Yeah.
I forgot about that. Yeah, that's true. You're staff sergeant? I forgot where.
I'm a petty officer. I'm over in the Navy. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry. And
no, all good. Yeah, just people that got out of boot camp like after 2000. I'm just like, or people that were born after 2000. I'm just like,
that's
I don't
true.
know what you guys are
in the
talking
military.
about anymore.
That's a really good point. It's like, yeah, there are people born after 9/11 that are that are voting age. That's weird to me too.
Yeah.
So what's like a day in your work life? What What you do?
I do computer stuff, so it's literally going in there in the morning. I have a chief will tell me what he wants me to get done for the day, and then it's just me doling it out to a bunch of nerds and telling them what to do.
That's
and then,
really funny.
I'm just the middleman between management and the workers.
Wow, and that's so yeah,
Perfect place.
It's
yeah.
almost like a corporation sometimes,
Yep.
isn't it? Yeah. I used to work for a place that did digital imagery,
Mhm.
and we contracted with the military.
Yeah.
So I'm sure might be doing similar stuff to what I was doing.
Yeah, at this point, the longer you stay in, the easier it gets. You just get more people to tell what to do.
that sounds like corporate.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's awesome.
That's nice. How long have you been doing comedy?
About 6 years now.
Oh, nice.
Almost coming up on 7.
That's a good sweet spot.
Yeah.
That's a good place to be.
Yeah.
Nice. Where did you start here? Or did you start
No,
elsewhere?
I started in DC.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, DC and Baltimore. Well, Baltimore was the first, and then it was going, since they were so close, it was going back and forth between Baltimore and DC for a while. And then Hawaii was where I feel like I got good because I wasn't that good. I don't think I was. I always get off stage feeling like I'm not knowing if I did that great anyway. Like, I just assume, like, I'll watch back my recordings and kind of assume if I did any good.
Well,
nothing anybody can say will ever make me feel like it was good or bad. Like, I have to gauge it.
Yeah, that's true. You have to feel good about your own set for sure.
But
now,
yeah, I didn't get good till Hawaii.
It's kind of funny thinking about you getting good in Hawaii. You think that maybe the BW or I say BWI for the
the airport.
Yeah, I was thinking, but the Baltimore Washington area. You think that would be really where you'd have to get good to even get time?
So I was decent. I was getting decent time. It didn't feel. It felt like I was going up there and just trying to make people laugh, which is the core concept. I get that, but it felt like a job. It didn't feel natural, and so I just didn't feel good. Like, it felt like, okay, I know how to make people laugh, and I was going up to do that, and I feel like you're supposed to do more when you're on stage. Honestly, like,
were you in Annapolis with the Navy or what?
I was out in Fort Meade, Maryland.
Oh, okay.
So it was maybe 20, 15 minutes away from Baltimore, maybe 45 minutes away from DC if traffic, which is always bad, wasn't that bad.
Yeah. What's the Baltimore scene like?
It wasn't bad. It was I think I went in there. I kind of went like the backup quarterback syndrome, where it's like, I'm just gonna jack up every path I can make, and if we win, great. And if we don't, it's not my fault. I'm the backup quarterback.
Yeah, nice.
So I think
that's a good way to think about it.
I was kind of just telling jokes whether I thought they were funny or not. I'm like, these make people laugh. Like, I've heard enough laughter from this thing. I'll just keep doing it.
Yeah.
And I felt like that weird 7-8 month period I was there was just telling the same jokes, not trying to get better, because I'm like, oh, I've got this 5 minutes.
Yeah.
I've got this 10 minutes. Why stretch it?
Yeah.
I wouldn't even take the opportunity to do more. So.
Yeah, well, that's the danger of the comfort zone, right?
Yep.
Is that you just stagnate.
Yeah,
and that's hard.
Way too early. That was the problem.
Yeah. If you're less than a year,
way too quick.
But on the other hand, you also have, if in a year in you got a strong 5-10 minutes, that's really good too. If you got a solid 5-10 minute set after a year, I think that's for 8 months. That's great.
I feel like it's never been hard. I felt like I took to it comedy kind of easy at the end of the day, but yeah, I just once I started prioritizing and realizing what I wanted to do or be, I realized I didn't have that direction when I started. I didn't have any mentors or anybody trying to make me better. They were just like, all right, he's going to go up, tell his jokes, he's going to leave. So, yeah.
And that's part of being part of a scene, obviously. And I will say this, whenever I've seen you, you have a comfort level that feels even beyond a 6-7 year guy, because I've never seen you look uncomfortable up there, no matter where you are in the lineup, no matter what's going on with your set, no matter what the crowd is. I've never seen you look uncomfortable. Do you feel like you're more comfortable than maybe you even should feel when you're up there, or is that just the way you look, you think?
I mean, I do. I never stress over comedy.
Yeah.
Just because, at the expense of sounding arrogant, I do think I'm good at it, and I feel like if you look uncomfortable up there, it's so easy to. Sounds like I have a dog. I can tell my dog's never spoken a word like most dogs. I can tell when it's uncomfortable.
Yeah,
You
that's
know?
true. Yeah, it
So
doesn't. Yeah,
if you look weak or uncomfortable or out of sorts, like the crowd picks up on that really quick.
yeah,
And so yeah, I feel comfortable up there, and I think I just kind of got that hammered into me really early. Like just look confident, look comfortable,
yeah.
and
That
you'll
is a
feel
big
confident
deal.
and comfortable.
Yeah,
Yeah.
unless it's part of your shtick and the people know that,
Hmm.
and like, oh, this guy's like, I always think of Jeremy Hotz. I don't know if you know him, but he's like a Canadian comic. He's probably around my age, and he just does this. It's almost like the typical Jewish guy thing,
Hmm.
where and there's like a whining to his voice, and
Hmm.
it's almost Woody Allen-esque.
Okay.
But people eventually got to know this is his shtick, and this is hilarious for him. But I think 90% of the time, you're right. If you are not feeling or looking comfortable up there, they're gonna smell it.
Yeah.
And I know that's part of my problem too. I still to this day have issues getting up there and like trying a new joke. Oh, you can totally tell.
Yeah, I think you can pick up, which is the reason why I try and always go into a show. I don't want to be stressed out about anything before because I feel like they can feel it,
Yeah.
and I know I express. I express how I feel up there, and I'll go to an open mic. And it's just like I don't want to be here, and I can feel that coming
Yeah.
out.
That's true.
It's like I go to mics after a certain time. I'm like I can't stay. I can't be funny after 11 o'clock. I know that. So
turn into a pumpkin or something.
yeah, I'm saying I gotta go. It's time to go. I would have waited for hours when I first got here, when I first moved here, and nobody knew a thing about me. So like, we'll put them on last. It's like 11. I'm like, no, I'm going to Florida where they will boo you if they don't like you. It's like you pick up a little bit of everything from everywhere you go.
I was lucky. I only did comedy in Florida once. I was down in Tallahassee and just hit a mic, and they were very friendly. Because Tallahassee's college crowd.
Yeah.
So I think they were a little more easy on me.
I was in some slums in Florida doing
Where were
shows.
you?
Pensacola, like
Oh yeah,
near Alabama.
yeah, that's
like,
right on the border. Yeah.
Yeah, there was this one show that they did in like the basement of this hotel that used to be like a swingers club
Oh
or
jeez,
something.
that's awesome.
Like the first joke I said down there, I was like, somebody's been horrifically sexually harassed in this room. And then somebody just out yells at like, there used to be a swinger club. And it's like, yep. I can smell that.
Oh my god, literally and figuratively. That's hilarious.
But
Do you think that's the closest thing you've had to a hell gig?
the thing is, it wasn't even a bad gig.
Oh really?
Like it was like you had to fight, but you know it was worth. Like there's a difference between being in like a tough room and a room that's counter productive towards comedy.
Yes.
You know, there's some shows where they got like the TV and the football games on. Like that's counterproductive comedy. That's not a hard room. That's it is a hard room, but it's not a hard room because of comedy. It's a hard room because of everything else. That was a hard room, and they were paying attention to you. The crowd was just like, you got to make me laugh. I don't care who you are. But once you won them over, you got them. Yeah, and then the bookers out there, they're like, all right, I'll keep bringing you back in. Like,
nice.
Keep coming. And as long as you kept the crowd.
Do you think, because this has happened to me when I did I got to headline just a tiny little place in Pueblo, and I just kept going because it was one of those moments where you're like, okay, I've got them now. It was like maybe 10, 15 minutes in, it's like, so I just said, fuck it, I'm gonna go 40, and they were fine. And it's like I think that's often the reason we do this. It's like, I got you, you're mine, and it's such an amazing feeling. I've rarely had it, but that was fun. That was my moment. It was in Pueblo, Colorado. So some of these places, Pensacola, Florida.
You get them, and then it just once you figure out how to get them once, I think the more you're able to do it, you start figuring out how to do it. I think that's what it is.
There's definitely like a muscle flex or a muscle memory or something occurs there that when you can get that. I'm not there yet. You're there. Or you're closer than me.
I think by the time I got there, I'd already had to deal with, not being booked in favor of, more local comics in Hawaii and having to work so hard there. Like, and there's not a lot of comics out there. It's a really small scene. So I was able to get the time and the reps in where, for all its faults, as a scene, there's a lot of pros. And I left there more seasoned than the average person with that amount of time under their belt.
Nice.
So I got to Pensacola like, oh, you want to heckle? All right, cool. Well, I can handle a heckler.
Yeah.
Like, there's just, this is a good scene, but the crowd's much more forgiving out here, which is good.
Yeah, it is nice. I mean, this is I've always heard this since we moved here when I was a kid. It's a laid back city, and it really is.
Yeah.
I mean, in almost every sense, it's really Colorado overall. You could argue maybe not. Some rural areas are maybe a little uptight, but I think Denver as a city is
the crowds are very palatable.
Yeah,
you just have to not offend, which is not as hard as I think most people try and make it seem in comedy. It's not that hard to not offend anybody.
It really is.
People are just like, they're ruining my art. Like, I think that's the one contention I've always gotten into with a lot of comics. I'm not a very argumentative or contentious person, but it's like, the PC movement's ruining everything. No, it's not. It's really not. It's not hard. You're white. Don't say nigga. It's really easy to do.
I had to learn that the hard way because I put on Facebook 3.5 years ago that was okay to say on stage because I tried to thread it into a bit about Bill Belichick basically being a slave owner for the way he treated Jamie Collins. It's an involved joke. It didn't work. I tried it twice at an open mic, but I was dumb enough to say, I think you can say anything on stage. Maybe not.
I don't. Yeah, I think because if you want the credit, this isn't art. I don't think comedy is.
It's definitely.
It's an industry. It's work. You're going up there. You can enjoy it. You can enjoy your job. You can enjoy your work. But we're not artists. We're entertainers.
Yeah, and that is a really good point. Yeah, and that's a hard. I mean, you do want it. I think there's a part of everyone that wants to say something really important to them and make it hilarious.
Sure.
And that maybe feels like art. But yeah, I agree. We are. Hey, you've heard it. I'm sure we're glorified alcohol salesmen oftentimes.
Yeah. This is a huge industry. There's an art industry, sure, but we're in the entertainment industry. We're trying to be.
Yeah, exactly.
So you can write your pet project and pitch it to Fox and see how much they're going to dumb it down. You know what I mean?
God, it just sounds like a depressing. Yeah. That part of the industry sounds horrific. Yeah. I think about guys who are household names: Burr, Patton Oswalt, Louis C.K., Chris Rock, Dave Chappelle. How much they have written that we don't even know about.
Yeah, we'll never see it. And that was their art, but they eventually came to like, oh yeah, like.
Yeah, I guess this. I gotta entertain. Yeah. My art isn't selling. My entertainment is. Yeah. That's a really good point.
That was a big thing just for Dave Chappelle to say the N-word on Saturday Night Live. Like that was so huge, but it was like, you know what I mean? Like most people can't do that. It doesn't matter if I say it on stage, but I know not to say it if I'm getting my guest spot on Fallon one day. You know what I mean? Like I've got the wherewithal, but this is my art. Like, all right, cool. Don't come back.
I was gonna say, you better do your art somewhere where they appreciate it. Because, and that's why I said, like, I did an open mic. If it had worked, I might have tried it somewhere else. Mm-hmm. But it's like, there are people, and I think there are white guys. And there's always something going on. So, like I've heard several white guys. I mean, but those are the upper level dudes that can get away with it and make it not even the word itself, but just say, like Patton Oswalt did a bit about Obama, and this was years ago when Obama was still in office, and said, "Hey, no matter what this guy does, do you think there'll still be like 2 super racist dudes in Arkansas?" And then they use the word in that. It's like, oh yeah, and how awesome the world was going to be under Obama, and these guys still didn't, still. So yeah, but you have to be that upper level, and it has to feel pretty innocuous. It can't feel like hate. It just has to feel like maybe other guys. It was just I just found out I can't do it.
Yeah, you got to do a lot of homework because they have said it on South Park like maybe 5 times, but it's been so poignant. The times that they've done it, it's like I can't realistically be upset about. I hate when anybody really not black says it, but again, there was such a pointed message behind them doing it. I'm like, I can't be mad. I realistically almost have to applaud the way they utilized it. There was a whole episode about it, and they did it so wisely. I'm like, what complaint can you give them?
Yeah, they've been doing comedy or at least something of comedic value. Almost, I think I would say, as long as you've been alive. I mean, they're around my age. I remember I saw they did film. They were film students at CU. A lot of people don't know that, and they made a non-animated live action, same thing, but a film about the Donner Party. Those are the people. Those, do you know about that?
The cannibals?
Yeah.
Say Dahmer? Yeah.
A Donner.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And yeah, and they did a comedy based on that. It was really funny. But yeah, they've been doing this for so long that they maybe that's entertainment, but maybe that's where their art they can get away with saying that and saying something important and still making it entertainment and I don't want to say family friendly, but maybe society friendly.
Yeah, I mean, they know what they're doing more than they write better than I do. Like, they write better than 90% of us.
Yeah, I was gonna say they got the experience, they got all the chops, they know all the moves.
Yeah,
but that's yeah, it's a, what is your dream? The comedy world. Did I mention, like, if you ended up on Fallon?
Yeah.
Would you want to do specials? Would you want to write movies? What would you
I want to do like this. Like I don't care about getting a featured spot at a club.
Right.
Like I want to do that eventually, but that's like such a small piece. I want to be discovered. I want to be the guy. There's only been few of them in my lifetime. It's been Eddie Murphy, Kevin Hart, the guys. Like,
yeah.
I want to be at that level. I know that's a really huge brass ring to grab, but
hey,
you know, I want to be funnier than everybody else.
Yeah.
I want to accomplish everything there is to accomplish out of this.
Nice.
Whether that be write, produce, continuously just keep getting on stage. I want people to mess up my jokes. I saw this thing on TV last night. I want people messing up my jokes at work. People are like, that doesn't sound that funny. And they're like, you gotta watch it. And they go and watch it. Like, yeah, that guy was pretty funny.
That's so funny because Eddie Murphy did a joke about that, either in Raw or Delirious. Where he said, hey, white guys don't mess up my jokes. He does the example of the jokes, like, yeah. That's the Mr. T joke.
Yeah.
And just I love the white guy voice and just I'll take the whole punchline of the Mr. T joke.
The joke that I do, the vinegar joke, I throw a small piece in that. It's kind of like a nod to that, where it's just like, yeah, don't say this because you're gonna say it wrong. It's gonna come out bad at work. HR is gonna get called.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's right. I think have you done that tag before? Yeah, I think you did last time you were here. Because I love that joke, and that's the beauty of it. It's real. It's hilarious.
It's the joke everybody always remembers. That's the one joke everybody is like, oh, you're the vinegar guy. I'm like, I don't know if you were paying attention to the joke, but I don't think you should say that.
His name's Jeremiah.
Yeah. Glad you heard it, but did you listen to it? It's one of those. Every time, that's always the joke. People always repeat back. I'm like, I don't think you should, given the context.
Don't do that.
They do.
No, and like for old guys like me that were taught you could say anything, we're still learning that no, you can't, and it's not that big of a loss not to say it.
Because I know nobody ever means anything by it, because it is a joke. I think if you're not paying attention to, not to big up my own joke, but it's a joke. If you're not paying attention to, you hear the tagline and you're not going to see it the way it's explained. So I never get offended when somebody repeats that joke, because I don't think they see that they're saying the word. I don't think that they're seeing that. They're like, oh.
It is hard, though, when you have something and there's a certain esoteric quality to it and you want them to get that, and they're not getting that. I can see a frustration there, but if it's working, that's nice too.
I think people see it as like, it's a wordplay joke.
Yeah.
And I try not to, I grew up watching black comedians. It's what I've always liked. And I know that what I do is not, I've been told I don't come off as your more historically black comedian.
Right.
I'm not for the comic view crowd. I get that. I know that. I'm mixed. Like, I get that I'm not fully, but I hate when people lean into that to a degree where you're almost becoming a parody. When I talk about race, I feel like it's very pointed, and it's like, this is a joke, but also there's something layered in there.
Yeah.
Take that.
Yeah, please listen to this.
Most people do, but some jokes, people just maybe it's not detailed well enough on my end, and I'm not doing good enough for them to see it, but that's usually the gist behind them.
Well, that makes sense, and it's tough when you get to a certain level. You want to make them laugh, but you also want to say something.
Yeah.
It's really not easy.
Yeah. But then going back to the not art thing, that's where I kind of just like, hey, it is good wordplay and a joke. You know what I mean?
And I think that's a really great point you made maybe 10 minutes ago about art versus entertainment. That's what we're doing. We're entertaining.
Yep.
I mean, I think we want to be artists, and we're trying to have that as part of what we are. But in the end, we are entertainers.
Yeah. We can't all be the Prince of comedy. You
No.
can't all be Prince. Like, sometimes you have to be Michael Jackson and not Prince.
Nice.
When it comes to music, at least.
Yeah, that's
music only music.
And that's a perfect way to end it. Two of the best guys in the 80s ever to make music. We're not around anymore, but they're really great.
Yeah.
And both bought amazing different gifts. And yeah, that's really art versus entertainment.
Yeah.
That's perfect. I think we'll end it there.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jeremiah Chinegwu, fellow JC, headlining tonight at the Mercury. Thank you so much. And thanks. I had a lot of fun. We'll do it again soon, maybe. All right. Thanks, man.